Hi, everyone, and welcome to this Cloud Coach webinar. Today, I have a really interesting and really cool use case, multi-cloud employ new hire fits from Oracle HCM Cloud into an Azure Data Lake. My name is Juan Carlos Gonzalez, and I'm integration specialist working for Oracle Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and happy to have you here. So, just to talk a little bit about myself, I'm part of the AI and app modernization Oracle EMEA Oracle team. I used to post a lot of LinkedIn, use cases combining Oracle integration and no-code, low-code approach for integration combined with AI services and other Oracle Cloud services in order to automate different business processes and accelerate the way you can initiate or approach to a new initiative that you have around your SaaS application or on-prem applications or applications deployed on different cloud vendors. I live in Malaga, Spain, but proudly I'm from Bogota, Colombia. So let's move on. So one of the things that we will see today is what's the multi-cloud approach, integration approach that we have here in Oracle in order to extract employee new hires or subscribe to Delta feeds coming from Oracle HCM Cloud and send these employee new hire feeds into an Azure Data Lake. So it's going to be like a near real-time approach, and we will see how we can deal with this kind of integration, multi-cloud integration use case. Okay? So just to talk a little bit about the agenda. So the first is I'm going to show you what the value proposition of Oracle Integration Cloud is for this multi-cloud integration use case. Then we will see, and I will set up a live demo from scratch. You will see how we can enable these multi-cloud employee new hire fits into from Oracle HCM Cloud into Azure Data Lake using, let's say, these event-driven and pull approach that we have in our Oracle Integration Cloud platform. So we will see a demo story, a live demo story showing that. And then I will talk a little bit about the multi-cloud integration patterns, let's say, that you could enable around all these integration use cases. Okay? So let's move on. So here I'm talking about Oracle Integration Cloud. Now it's we call it Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Integration or OCI integration. And basically, what Oracle Integration Cloud allows is to connect and extend different applications. It can be Oracle SaaS applications or software as a service applications, or non-Oracle applications like Salesforce, Magento, different kind of applications, or even it could be on-prem applications deployed in your own private network, or it can be applications deployed or systems deployed in another vendor's cloud, right? So it can also automate end-to-end business processes, but specifically for this Cloud Coach webinar, we're gonna focus only on the application integration capability without saying that, and least important, is that we also have process automation like process workflows or the ones that are more familiar with the business process management concept. So we have the capability to enable approval workflows or those kind of custom workflows that you can use to extend functionality of an application. We also have Visual App Builder to enable mobile or visual apps on top of these Oracle, non-Oracle SaaS on-prem applications. And yeah, file transfer capabilities and etc. In this case, we're going to use the adapters or the pre-built adapters that we have in Oracle Integration Cloud. And this is the basis of our low-code, no-code approach. So in the end, and you'll see these adapters basically simplify the way you can connect to these Oracle applications or non-Oracle applications. And Then, I mean, Oracle Integration Cloud is a PaaS service. It's a ready-to-use service. It's part of Oracle Cloud Service Stack, and you can combine it with other Oracle Cloud services like OCI Streaming. That is our Oracle Managed Kafka service. So you can have like enable event-driven integrations, and you will see how we can use streaming in this case to be able to debug, let's say, the feeds that we can extract from Oracle HCM Cloud. So it's very important when you want to decouple systems, or even when you want to scale an architecture and try to parallelize the processing and debugging, the debug, let's say, process for an integration use case like this one. Then I mentioned the low-code, no-code integration approach. So in this case, we have native adapters. We have our own native adapter to our Oracle HCM Cloud, that is our SaaS HR application. So in this case, this adapter wraps up the complexity on how to extract information from it. So we will see we have that capability to subscribe to Delta feeds coming from Oracle HCM Cloud, and we will use our OCI Streaming adapter because we are using these Kafka topics, Oracle Managed Kafka topics, under the Oracle Cloud Streaming service, and we will use that to publish and consume events or data or those HCM feeds from to these topics, and then we will use a REST connector that we will use in order to connect to an Azure Blob Storage, and in order to put or drop off the Delta file coming from HCM into a blob or a container within Azure Blob Storage, right? So just to talk a little bit about the HCM Cloud Adapter, and you'll see it in the demo. This adapter basically wraps up all the complexity on how to connect to Oracle HCM Cloud. So instead of working with hundreds of APIs, you are working with business entities like employee, like worker, like absence. And in this case, you can work also with business events. In this case, we have something, or Oracle HCM Cloud has a building capability called item feeds. And the item feeds is a way to get the last updates on a specific business entity in this case. And in this demo, we will subscribe, or we will pull Delta feeds for employee new hires. But we also have other, let's say, item feeds you can subscribe to. And we are going to capture these in near real time because we're going to pull those Delta feeds from Oracle HCM Cloud using, one of the operations that we have, that is subscribe to updates. And without saying that, we also have other capabilities, like you can even use the REST APIs of HCM, but within the adapter. So it's an easier way, let's say, to use those REST APIs. And we also have like the capability to extract files. HCM extracts are called like that, like reports you set up in HCM Cloud, but then you can trigger a job that takes out the information from HCM Cloud. Usually you use those extracts just to, for business entities that are not available as item feeds, right? So let's move on, and just to talk about a little bit of what's the multi-cloud approach with Oracle Integration Cloud. So with Oracle Integration Cloud, we can connect cloud to ground applications. This is more Oracle-focused integrations between on-prem and cloud Oracle Cloud applications. We also have Oracle Cloud-centric applications, like you want to connect like an Oracle e-business suite application deployed on Oracle Cloud infrastructure with another Oracle SaaS application. So it's Oracle-centric solutions between Oracle apps and tech on the Oracle Cloud. And also, there's also, let's say, the multi-cloud approach, where we have integrations between Oracle apps or on Oracle Cloud or Oracle SaaS applications like HCM Cloud, and integrations between these applications, Oracle applications, with third-party systems deployed on Azure or Google Cloud or AWS. In this case, we're going to connect to an Azure Blob Storage on an Azure Data Lake. And this is very important because we can enable security. We can enable, reduce the latency between the two clouds. And I will talk about that in a couple of minutes. Easy of use because we are using these native adapters that make everything easier. And we can meet non-functional SLAs, around these multi-cloud approaches. So we have different multi-cloud sub cases, like we can push from an OCI application or Oracle SaaS application like Oracle HCM and send it to an Azure Blob Storage, as this cloud approach webinar is about. But you can also push from a third-party cloud, like push from an Azure Blob Storage and then like a GL file with journal batches, and then storing this in an Oracle ERP cloud application or in Oracle SAP or something like that, or a combination of both, or even sometimes it's called batch data movement orchestration. So you just extract information and then we send it or store it in a cloud storage. And then let's say you can use the vendor's ETL platform to make transformations and all of that. So in this case, the role of Oracle integration is just to orchestrate the movement of data, and event-driven, let's say more real-time approaches. But in this case, we're gonna have like a push from OCI and a little bit combined with event-driven approach. So let's move on. And then what we have is very important capability within Oracle Integration Cloud called the connectivity agent. So the connectivity agent is the key enabler for multi-cloud integration. So in order for Oracle Integration to connect to a private resource, we're going to have it here in an Azure private blob storage. So you don't have to expose and open your firewall in your Azure, in this case Azure VNet, in order to for Oracle Integration to be able to connect to this Azure Blob Storage. Instead, we use the connectivity agent that is basically a jar process, a jar file or Java process that is going to run on our Oracle, using the connectivity agent from Oracle Integration Cloud and deployed on an Azure VM. It can be a Linux VM, a Windows VM, whatever. In this case, we have a Windows 2019 Windows server. And that's the VM that the operating system of that VM. And we're going to host, I previously installed this connectivity agent in an Azure VM within a private subnet. So the way this connectivity agent connects to Oracle Integration is the connectivity agent initiates the connection. So it's from the connectivity agent to Oracle Integration and not the other way around. So the connectivity agent doesn't allow inbound traffic. It only allows outbound traffic. So every time in an integration flow where you're using this REST adapter connecting to this private Azure Blob Storage REST API, what the agent is doing all the time is, Oracle Integration, do you have any request? Do you have any request? So it's pulling all the time and then saying, okay, I'm going to perform, let's say, the drop or the retrieve of the data file from or into or from the Azure Blob Storage. So, as you know, multi-cloud is part of Oracle's strategy. So we have another service that is called Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Azure Interconnect. This is basically to establish a private connection, a private link channel between the two clouds. So it leverages Express Route on the Azure side and Fast Connect on the Oracle Cloud side. And that's the way, let's say, it connects. So instead for the agent to connect to Oracle Integration through public internet, you could use this private interconnectivity to enable this, like private channel between the two clouds and avoiding going through public internet to put or drop or query or retrieve a file or drop a file into from Azure Blob Storage. Or Azure Data Lake with Blob Storage. So let's move on and let's talk about the demo story. So the context of the demo story is we're going to enable a multi-cloud Oracle HCM Cloud new hire fits into an Azure data lake. So basically what we have here is we're going to use the adapter. We're going to have an scheduled producer integration flow. So this producer integration flow is going to subscribe or pull the atom fits or the last updates on new hires or last new hires from a specific, let's say, date. We can enrich those fits, getting details around these employee new hire fits. And then we're going to publish these enriched fits coming from Oracle HCM Cloud into an OCI Streaming Kafka topic. So we're sending those Delta fits into a Kafka topic, an Oracle managed Kafka topic. And that's the 1, 2, 3 is the producer integration flow. And then we're going to have a consumer integration flow with 4 and 5, where we use the streaming adapter to consume those feeds coming from the Kafka topic that we set up. And then we're going to meter the number of records we will produce on a file within Oracle Integration Cloud. And this file is going to be like the HCM Delta file that is going to have all the records that we pulled, or the atom feeds that we pulled from Oracle HCM Cloud. And then we are going to drop it into a private Azure data lake, in this case, in an Azure Blob Storage, using the connectivity agent. So one thing, a very important thing, is we're using OCI Streaming to decouple Oracle HCM Cloud from Azure Blob Storage. So imagine something happens here, like the Blob Storage is down, or for some reason the connectivity went down. You have the capability to, let's say, recover from that fail. So the main integration or the consumer integration flow can send the fail messages into a retry topic in Oracle Managed, in our Oracle Managed Kafka service, OCI Streaming. And then you can have like a retry topic where, I don't know, every half an hour or 1 hour, or depending on the, you know, like an availability window, you can, let's say, schedule that integration to pull or consume the fail messages and try to re-inject them, let's say, or re-inject that file into the Azure Blob Storage, right? So this guarantees that effectively those Delta files reach and are dropped off into the Blob Storage. So, sorry. So let's see it in action. So here, I'm gonna go to Oracle Integration Cloud. So here you have, let's see it. So here you have Oracle Integration Cloud. So I will create my connections, the different connections to the different systems. So remember, the first integration flow is an producer schedule integration flow that will pull the feeds using the HCM adapter and then sending them to OCI Streaming. So the first thing we need to do is to connect or set up a connection to Oracle HCM Cloud. So I have my own Oracle HCM Cloud here environment. So what I will do is to create a connection to Oracle HCM Cloud. So here I will type HCM. So here is the adapter. I will call it, let's say, Cloud Coach Webinar HCM Cloud. In this case, I will use the adapter as an invoke because I'm gonna pull the atom fits or the last updates on new hires coming from HCM Cloud. So the role of this integration is to invoke HCM Cloud, right? There we go. So what I will do is basically to put the host of my Oracle HCM Cloud. So in this case, the host is this one. In your case, you have to provide your Oracle HCM Cloud instance URL. Then, for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to use username, password, token, security policy. But for a real project, let's say the suggestion is to go with OAuth. Right? And there's in the let's say oracle.com/integration, you can find information around the HCM Cloud Adapter and how to, on the prerequisites that you have to set up before trying to use the connector using OAuth authorization co-credentials. So there are some setups that you have to do in the HCM Cloud side, right? So in this case, I'm going to use, as I mentioned, for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to use username password. So this is my integration user created in Oracle HCM Cloud, which has the integration specialist role in Oracle HCM. It has the application developer role, the application consultant role, implementation consultant role, the HCM Cloud integration specialist role, and the integration specialist role. So those are the roles, and you can read it in the adapter documentation, but those are the roles that we need for this integration user in order to be able to subscribe to Atom Fits. And even if you are not subscribed to Atom Fits in HCM Cloud, you can raise a service request in order for your instance to be able to subscribe to Atom Fits. Right? So in this case, I will use the password for this user, and I'm going to test my connection. So in a couple of seconds, we should be able to connect successfully to Oracle HCM Cloud. Right? So, okay, we're connected to Oracle HCM Cloud. So now I'm going to save the connection. And finally, we will be ready with the Oracle HCM Cloud connection. It's saved. There we go. Now, great. So we're connected to HCM Cloud. Now, I'm not going to explain the part of OCI Streaming specifically. I'm not going to do it from scratch, but just to tell you, let's say this is OCI Streaming or Oracle Cloud Streaming. You can go into your OCI portal and type streaming. And in this case, I have created previously an stream or a Kafka topic under the Frankfurt region. So it's as easy as you provide the name of the stream or the Kafka topic, the managed Kafka topic, and then you select the stream pool. In this case, I'm going to use a private streaming. So just to explain a little bit more this. So in this case, it doesn't make sense to have a public stream or Kafka topic because this is just for the purpose of decoupling and all the benefits we can get from an event-driven approach. And here I'm debatching the Atom Fits coming from HCM Cloud. So in this case, I have a private Kafka topic or OCI streaming topic. So that's why I need to also use an agent in an OCI VM that allows me to connect to this private streaming. It's called OCI streaming with private endpoint. So in this case, it's a Kafka, private Kafka topic. And that's why I previously, or you will have to, if you want to create a private stream, you have to choose a private pool. Okay? So that's what I basically did here. And if you see, in this case, this HCM new hired stream, the pool is private, and that means that let's say it's in a private subnet, basically. So it's not publicly exposed, let's say. Right? Just to mention that. Right? So let's come back to my Oracle Integration Cloud console. So how did I set up this private connectivity to my private stream, to OCI streaming? So in this case, I just have to put this. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. C34 connection. So in this case, I basically, you have to provide the bootstrap server. We are using SASL plane over SSL. So it's SSL stream. So you have to provide the SASL username that you can get directly from streaming. And the password is an out token that you create in Oracle Cloud associated with your Oracle technical user in Oracle Cloud portal. So you need an out token that is going to be the password for that, for these security credentials. And then you have to provide a trusted store SSL certificate that, let's say, you can download from a Linux VM that is connected to this private stream. And obviously, I'm associating a connectivity agent in this case. Remember, this is a private stream, so I have a VM where I hosted the OCI streaming, OCI connectivity agent, sorry, from Oracle Integration Cloud in order for Oracle Integration to connect privately to this OCI streaming. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm associating an agent group. The agent group is basically the logical representation of the physical agent. So you basically, or one of the things you have to provide is a config file, which has is already associated with an agent group. So this is representing the physical agent, let's say. So we are good on that. And then another thing we need is to set up the Azure Blob Storage connection, right? So in order to be able to do this, so let me show you. I previously have set up a cloud container or an Azure storage container. And in this case, let's say this is a private Azure Blob Storage because I have disabled the public network access. So in this case, the VM where I host the agent, so let me show you that. I have my agent installed in an Azure VM within a private subnet in an Azure VNet. And this VM is connecting to the storage account, Azure Blob Storage, using private endpoints. That's the way you can keep this connectivity under the Azure backbone, right? This is not going to public internet. This connection is private. So that's what you can do, leveraging private endpoints in Azure. So the way that VM where I host the agent is connecting to this Azure Blob Storage is through this private endpoint, right? And then I have some containers. I have these containers, but actually, if I try to access this HCM Cloud container, it's going to give me an error because I don't have permission. Why is that? Because previously, I registered an Azure app here representing the Oracle Integration Cloud instance. So basically what you have to do is create an app. You have to get the client ID and create a new secret for that application in your Azure portal. So you will need this application client ID, and I created a secret. So a secret for that. And also the API permissions. So in this case is, I'm just delegating the user read and the default permissions. But if we come back to the Azure storage, we can see that the access control to this Azure Blob Storage is through role assignments, and I have given my app OIC JCG a storage blob data contributor role permission. So that's the way I can put blobs or even read blobs from to my Azure Blob Storage container. Okay. So the way I can access my my Azure Blob Storage is within the VM. So here is my Windows Server VM where I install the connectivity agent. You can see it here, and it's running here. And I'm using an Azure Storage Explorer. So that's the way I can, even refresh, and you will see when we test the integration flow, how this works, right? So let's do that. So let's go with the first step. Sorry, I forgot. So we have to create the connection to Azure Blob Storage. So let's do it. So I have to create a REST connection. I will call it Cloud Coach Webinar, Azure Blob, right? Blob. And I will use it as an invoke because that's what I want to do, is to put a blob into a file into that Azure Blob Storage. So I will create it. There we go. So the connection type is REST API. The URL is basically the name of my container, .blob, .core, .windows, .net. And here I'm using OAuth client credentials. That's the way you can connect, without using a user, a specific user, let's say, just at application level. So the URI is basically this one. And here you have like the tenant ID that you can get from you can type tenant and tenant properties, you will get that tenant ID, okay? And that's the one you have to put here because that's the access token URI. Then I will need my client ID. I will put my client ID. There we go. And the client secret that I created for my OIC JCG app in the Azure portal. And we have to put some optional security here. Basically, what I'm saying is that the scope for this connection is to access, the blob operations. And I'm putting this because I want this connection to refresh the token if it expires. So you don't have to, come back and test the connection and try to get a new token. This is gonna do it on runtime, right? So this is a very good thing, the offline access. Then the out request media, in this case, you can use application JSON or XSF form URL encoded parameters. So that's the way this connection is gonna try to get a new token. And in this case, the send credentials as a basic out header. Right. Another thing is that we need to use a connectivity agent to connect to that Azure VM. So I'm going to show that in a couple of seconds, but I have to assign this agent group, which is associated with the VM that I have here, where I have my agent. Right. I previously showed you this is my VM, and here is the Azure Blob Storage. Right. So what we need is to test the connection. There we go. We're connected to Azure Blob Storage REST API, private REST API. So I save it, and there we go. We are ready to set up the first, the producer integration flow, the first one, that is 1, 2, 3. Pull atom feeds, enrich atom feeds, and send them to OCI Streaming. That's what we will do next. So let's go to integrations, and I will create I will create a scheduled integration. In this case, this is a scheduled integration that is going to run every 10 minutes or half an hour to extract the last delta feeds for new hires. So I will select schedule. I will call it Cloud Coach Webinar Demo. This will be HCM feeds to stream. Let's call it like that. Okay. So I will define as first step and schedule parameters. So the idea is that between runs or executions of this schedule integration, the idea is to get always the last fetch time. So this parameter or schedule parameters can be passed across different runs. So that's very useful when, let's say, for the next run, it should take, like, give me the last atom feeds for or after the last fetch time, right? So we will add a schedule parameter, last fetch time. And for now, I will set it up with this value. Just, a time, daytime, right? So there we go. That's the first step. So then I will use the HCM Cloud connection that we set up previously. So I will use that connection. I will say this step will call subscribe to employee atom feeds. Here I will subscribe to updates via atom feed. to subscribe to those Delta feeds. I will select employee new hire. I mean, we have other, let's say, add-on feeds you can subscribe to. In this case, I just want to get the employee new hire last updates, right? I will say that I just want, like 10 max entries. I mean, you can choose whatever you want. In my case, just for the purpose of them, I will leave it like that. And I will say that I want to process future dated entries immediately. Just that probably someone hired someone, but the let's say future start time is let's say older than the current time, right? So that's going to happen in the future, but the new hire exists or was created. So we also want to capture that here as Delta feeds. And then that's it. That's the only thing we need to do there. Now, as you might know, we will to pass the schedule parameter, in this case, the last fetch time, as the published minimum time. This is just to get the latest Delta feeds for new hires after that, the last fetch time, right? So there we go. We just mapped that. That's it. Now, the next thing is that we will iterate over each add-on feed or new hire feed, and we will enrich that feed to get more information, like like the title of the person, of the new hire, the location, and some other, let's say, work relationship fields. Okay, so we will use the for each action that allows us to iterate over an array of records. In this case, the add-on feeds are my my records. So that's what it needs. So the repeated element is the employee new hire update, and I will call this current employee, right? So let's leave it like that. There we go. So cool. And now for each employee, I will again reuse the same connection to Oracle HCM Cloud. And in this case, we will call this get worker details. Get worker details. In this case, I will use the query create because I just want to get more information around the worker. And in this case, we need to use the business REST resources. This is the way we can deal with the HCM REST APIs. Instead of dealing individually, we have it, or the adapter wraps them up. So HCM REST app. And in this case, I will search for workers. There we go. And for workers, I have the operation of get all. Okay, so I want to do a query to get all the add-on feeds. Also, sorry, to get the worker details, and I want to get some child resources. In this case, I also want to get the work relationship data or information associated with that worker. Okay, and there we go. We just need to click next, and that's it. There we go. So now we will map, like the parameters to the query for get all, for that get all operation or get all workers, but based on the ID of each employee I got from the add-on feed. So in the mapper, sorry, I just need to do something. I need to map that I just want the data. So there's a parameter, only data, you put it on true. Expand, you will put that the information that you want to get details from the worker is work relationships assignments, basically. There we go. And then the query, you have the query here. So the query will be something like this. So I have, I will use the built-in capabilities. So I will use the concat function that we have here. This is the part of low-code approach that I mentioned before. And it's first, I mean, I want the workers where the person number is associated with the current employee person number. So where do we get that person number? From here, right? So there we go. We are good. And that's it. That's the only thing we need to do there, right? No code at all, basically, what I have done till now, right? So there we go. We are already done with this part. Now we need to send the employee feeds to our new hire stream. So I will use the connection to my OCI Streaming Kafka topic. If you see what I will, how I will call it is send employee feeds to employee new hire stream. And the adapter wraps up the complexity on how to publish messages into my Oracle Managed Kafka topic. So it's just publish messages to a stream. Then it will show the HCM new hire stream. That's the one I want. I want to select a JSON. So with JSON is basically a JSON, I call it employee new hire feed, where I define like the information I will publish today's topic, the primary phone number, the person ID, the person name, given surname, effective start date, worker type, work email, location code, department, business title, yeah, all those informations. That's what I'm doing in that, or I have in that JSON schema. So in that I will use that JSON sample, basically send the data of these employee new hire feeds. So I will use that JSON, and that's it. There we go. And the last thing is just to map the information, right? So let's do it. So I just need to map here the primary phone number. So for the current employee, I need primary phone number, the person ID, the person name, the given name. So here we have like a full name. So we can also leverage this function that allows us to get, in this case, the name of the person. In this case, it's like the way HCM Cloud retrieves this is first the last name and then the given name. So I need to get the string after the space. So I need the substring to get the substring from person name but after the space, right? I will get the given name that way. And then the surname, I will do a substring before for the person name, and I will want the surname, that is the first part before the space, right? Okay, and the next thing to map, just for is the effective start date, the effective date, the worker type, the period type, the person number, right? Person number, the work email, right? And then we can, from the worker details response, this was from the current employee, right? Like from the current employee I'm iterating on. And here, I just need to get the work relationships. Remember, this is like the details that we need to get from the worker. Then I will go to assignments. And here I will map different things. Which things? Things like the location code, the department name, right? The business title, that should be here, business title, here. Great. And I will leave it like that, right? So I mainly have like almost all the details from my current worker under the iteration I'm doing. So there we go. Cool. Now the next thing is to assign or update the last fetch time, right? For the next, let's say, execution of this schedule integration. So I will call this assign step as update last fetch time, and I will set the last fetch time as, I need to provide a string for the current time. So we also have this function. The current time, and we can have like the string of the last fetch time for that. There we go. And the last thing is to set up the business identifiers that I will use in order to, let's say, being able to track my integration. So we have an out-of-the-box integration monitoring dashboard. So I want to use the last fetch time as the, let's say, business identifier. Okay? And that's it. We are done with the scheduled producer integration flow. So what I will do is to activate the producer schedule producer integration flow. And with this, once it, okay, there we go. We have set up the steps 1, 2, 3, or the schedule producer integration flow. Now, the next step is to set up the consumer integration flow. So it's 4 and 5. So we will have an event-driven integration, app-driven integration that will be triggered every time someone publish a data or a message into the Kafka topic. So we will meter, or we will capture and fetch those delta feeds, and we will produce a delta file with those feeds, and we will put it in an Azure Blob Storage in my container. Okay, that's what we will do. So let's create another integration, the consumer integration flow, but in this case, this is an application event-driven or application-driven integration. So this will trigger once we consume messages from the topic. So I will call it Cloud Coach Webinar Demo, but in this case is new hire stream to Azure Blob, right? Wait, sorry. Okay, there we go. So we will use the OCI Streaming Adapter as the trigger of this integration. Okay, so we will use the connection C34. So in this case, I will call this get HCM deploy new hires feeds from stream. I will use the same topic that I want to consume feeds from. One of the things is obviously for the purpose of the demo, I just use one partition, but you can have like 7 partitions, so 10 partitions. Imagine you are retrieving a lot of ADOM feeds, like thousands. So instead of process them, like in one shot, or I don't know, 5,000 or 1,000 feeds, you can, you publish them into the topic as we did it in the schedule integration. But when consuming, you can consume from a specific partition. That will let you basically you can have this integration, obviously reusing the logic that it will have. But the only thing that will change between the duplicated integrations is just the partition you will consume. That way you can parallelize the processing. So you could process 1,000 records in chunks of 10 at the same time. This is not the case, but it's just to tell you the benefits of using OCI Streaming in the middle of this integration flow, right? So we will call this Cloud Coach webinar, HCM Consumer Group 01. Let's call it like that. I want to pull feeds every 30 seconds, and I want to fetch 10 a maximum of 10 records per read, right? And I will use the same JSON that I showed you before. So I will use that JSON. And there we go. Cool. We have the first part. It's consuming the delta feeds. So we have done 4. And now we will do something here in the middle that is producing the delta file. Okay. So in order to do this, just to show you, I have a template for that file where we have like the person ID, the person name, the given name, like all the information I want to produce in the delta file. And here will be like the different records. So I will use this as the template of the CSV file I will generate within OIC, within Oracle HCM Cloud. Okay? So let's do that. So we have something that is called a stage file action. So this is like the component that allows us to create files within Oracle HCM Cloud. So I will call this a step as initialize file. I will say write file. That's what I want to do. I will say I want to call the file name as concat employee new hire, current date time, right? And we will write this. Obviously, this file is going to be within the virtual system of Oracle HCM Cloud. So it's just like a temporary directory within Oracle HCM Cloud. So I will call it temp HCM Azure. And then next, I want to define a CSV sample. So the one that I showed you before. So this is the one. There we go. So in this case, I will call that each record is going to call, I'm going to name it like new hire, and the record set new hire. This is going to help us, when mapping the information about that. In this case, if you see my template, each field is separated by type symbol. So when I do type, look, it automatically recognizes that this is going to be the schema for that file. So that's good. And in this case, I can set that all the options are optional, except for the person ID. For instance, the first step is just to create, like the header of the file. So we will create this. And then in the second step, we will map the information coming from the feed, from the topic, and we will map it to as rows here. So we will use the stage file, write file operation twice. Okay. So let's do it. And there we go. Okay. Oh, I have something wrong here. Let's see. What is it? Okay. I have something not good here. So let's try to use the date. Current date time is what I need to put here. Probably with that, it will be okay. Done. There we go. Okay. So now I need to map the information, right? Oh, sorry. We need to map the information. So what we are gonna map is basically the header of the file. Okay, and then we will append like the records coming from the managed Kafka topic. So I will use this. So I will name it as person ID. So I'm just writing the first name, that is the header name, the header row, sorry. Person name. There we go. The given name as the given name. Right. The surname. Let's do that. Surname. Okay. The effective start date. Effective start date. Here we go. The effective date. Effective date. Cool. The worker type. Here is the worker type. There we go. The period time. As period time. As period type, sorry. The person number. As person number. Right. The primary phone number. This case is primary phone number, right? Then the work email, right? Here we go, work email. DML operation. I think we didn't map it, but anyway, in case you will need that as well. Like this is just to indicate that this is a new insert operation. Actually, we can map it back in the schedule integration, just to see that this is like the operation. If it was an insert or an update or whatever, that could be useful in your Azure Data Lake. So yeah, let's map it as well. We need to come back to the producer integration flow and do that mapping as well. Okay, no problem. We can do it. Good. So let's put the manager name. That we didn't map that as well either. Okay, there we go. So we are good. And now what we will do is just the write file, appending all the information. So I will use the stage file again. I will call it write file. We will basically do the same. In this case, I have to specify the exact name of the file, right? In this case, the file name is going to be file name from our first initialize file step, and the output directory is this one as well. Okay, there we go. There we go. And in this case, it will an append. Okay, we will append the feeds coming from HCM Cloud. So we will use the same template, right? Here, great. We will use a new hire. This record set name is the new hires. This is type separated on CSV. Again, all the columns are gonna optional except for person ID, should be mandatory. And there we go. Right. Good. Now I just want to map the information from my Kafka topic into my file. So we will append that information. So as you know, as you might wonder, this is an array of messages that can fetch from the Kafka topic. So it will map to the new hires or the record set name on the file, and then we will map the person ID, the person name, the given name, the surname, the effective start date, the effective date, the worker type, the period type, the person number, the primary phone number, the work email, the DML operation, the location code, the department, the business title, and that's it. That's what I want to do. Okay. There we go. That's the final part. Good. And now we need to send that file. Once we append that to the final file, we will send that file to Azure Blob Storage. So here I have my Azure Blob operation. So I will call it send HCM Delta file to Azure Blob. If you notice here in the name of my container, it's called HCM Cloud. So that's what I have to put here, right? Like HCM Cloud. And I have a template parameter for the recipe. It will be the file name. The file name is coming from here, this step, right? And I will put it. This is a put operation to put a blob or a file into a blob. I have to check the configure a request because we will send a binary file, and we have to configure the request headers. That's mandatory for the Azure Blob REST API to work properly. So we will need to define some custom headers in the request. Okay, so this is we did that as it is, and what we will send is a binary file, octet stream application octet stream content type. And we will add two custom headers that the REST API mandates, right? So, sorry, remove this. Sorry, we don't need. Oh, sorry. I think, yeah, it's custom. So no worries. All good. Custom header. Okay, now we are good. So we need to add two custom headers, the XMS blob type header, and then we will have to add the XMS version, right? There we go. And then now that we have put the invoke of the REST API, we need to map the information. In this case, we need to set up the XMS blob type as a black blob. That's the value that you have to put here. The XMS version right now is, if you see the Azure documentation, is the 2023-0103 for the API. And the file name is what it comes from the write operation. So you just need to, I mean, as easy as getting the file name here, right? And the stream reference is just, this is passed by reference and not by value. So this is very good. And there you go. We have set up this. So we will save it. And the last thing is just to set up the business identifiers for this consumer integration flow. I will use just the status of this. Okay, and that's it. And there we go. We are ready to test this the whole end-to-end flow. So what we have just done is the consumer integration flow. I'm sorry. So we have done with 4 and 5, right? So now that we are done with that, we are ready to test our integration. So let's do it. Okay, guys. So let's test the end-to-end demo flow. Okay. So I already have the two, like the producer integration flow and the consumer integration flow. Here we have my Azure Blob Storage container, HCM Cloud. I don't have anything here. So what I will do, just for the purpose of the demo, is to run the schedule integration. I mean, you can add the schedules and say like, I want to run this every, I don't know, every day, or I don't know, every hour and a half. But in this case, we will not do that. We will just run the schedule integration on demand, an ad hoc execution. Okay, so I'm going to run it with this value. So I will use the this value. I want to get the updates from June until now, and that's what we will do. Okay, so I will run integration. Let's see if we don't have any error. There we go. All seems good. For the producer integration flow, here we can see if everything is good. There we go. So this is the producer integration flow, where we subscribe to the, or pull the item feeds. We get the worker details for each employee found here, and we send that to OCI Streaming, and then we update the last fetch time. And then the consumer integration flow, if you see, it was succeeded. We fetch the item feeds, we initialize the file, we write the file, and then we send them. Okay. So let's see what we have in the Azure side. So if I refresh, there we go. We have my file here. So if I download it, remember I'm in the private VM here, and I'm using a Bastion host, an Azure Bastion to connect to this private VM. Okay. So I should see it in downloads, and if I open this with Notepad, there we go. So we have a CSV file with all, let's say, the new hires from I don't remember. From 8th of June, and after 8th of June 2023, after 9/29, right? So we have Alonso, Hernan, Wilson, Wei Lewis, Ahmed, and Samira. Okay. So, and we have all the information like the effective start date, effective date, the worker type, employee, the period time, the person number, the primary phone number, the work email here. We didn't map the DML operation, but all these should be insert operations, probably for an update for new hire or employee updates. You should map the DML operation as well, and you will see update operation there. And location code, you can see it, right? This is the internal HCM location code. And you also have like the department, human resources, accounting, finance, business titles like cost account, admin, accounting clerk, and that's it. So what we have just done in, I think, less than 1 hour, and 1 hour or less, is to use no-code approach to set up a multi-cloud, near real-time, and event-driven approach for Oracle HCM Cloud new hire feeds into an Azure data lake, private Azure data lake, using the connectivity agent, right? So let's move on just for the end of this Cloud Coach webinar. So this is the architecture. It's basically what we have done before. So the architecture is you have a producer integration flow where we use the HCM Cloud Adapter in Oracle Integration Cloud to pull or subscribe to add-on feeds. We pull the add-on feeds, in this case employee new hire, but you can subscribe to employee terminations, employee updates, employee segments. We, for each add-on feed, we fetch more information like the work relationships where we have the location, the department, the manager, etc. And then we stream those feeds into an OCI Streaming private Kafka topic. Why? Because again, we can decouple HCM Cloud from Azure. So if something happens in this case, you can use retry topics here. So it's like a way of handling errors using an event-driven approach. So 1, 2, 3 is the producer integration flow, and then we have the consumer integration flow. So we read from this private stream using the adapter with the connectivity agent that we have in an OCI VM. We consume those feeds. As we saw before, we append those feeds, and we can meter the number or consume those feeds in bulk, and we can meter or play with, okay, how big is this chunk are going to be, right? So we can decide if we are going to consume every 10 records, record by record, in chunks of 100, 500, 1,000 records. And then we are using the REST adapter associated with a connectivity agent that is in a private subnet in Azure, in a Windows Server VM. And the agent is basically dropping that file off into an Azure Blob Storage, private Azure Blob Storage. So as you can see, in this case, this for the demo, this connectivity between the agent and OIC went through public internet, but anyway, the agent was, in a private subnet, and obviously this is an SSL encrypted communication. But if you want this connectivity to not going through public internet, but instead through a private channel, then as we mentioned before, you could use the OCI Azure interconnectivity, leveraging express route on the Azure side and fast connect on the Oracle Cloud side to have, for the agent to connect to Oracle Integration Cloud through that Azure interconnect or private link. That in the end, once it connects and it reaches the DRG or the dynamic route gateway here, it will route through a private subnet to a service gateway, and the service gateway is basically like similar to private endpoint. So that's the way we can keep the traffic between the agent and OIC within Oracle, right? In this case, the service gateway is connecting to Oracle integration, and the way it connects is under the Oracle backbone and not going through public internet. So if you establish an Azure interconnect here between the two clouds, you're going to have like a highly secured end-to-end integration architecture, right? So thank you very much, guys, for joining this cool webinar. For a copy of today's slide deck, or to engage with me or other cloud experts, you can reach out to us on this URL, and you can actually join the Slack channel that we have for Oracle DevRel Slack channel, and even for you can reach us out in this email address. So thank you very much, guys, for joining this webinar, and hopefully we will see you again. Cheers. Bye.